Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Sport Trap. My name is Scott Morganroth, Motor City Madmouth. Glad to have Cody Spink back in the house. Welcome back, Cody.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And Mike Santos is back in the house. We've been off a couple of weeks. Mike, glad to have you back.
Yeah, you too, Scott. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun. What we're going to be doing is, with this show going forward, we're going to be adding soccer topics along the way to complement the hockey that we have going on. So we have a lot of great stuff that we're going to get to. Soccer is a great sport. Want to address that sport. Of course, the World Cup will be played later on this year for sure. We'll actually go ahead and get to soccer in just a few minutes. I wanted to talk about some other topics as we get the show rolling. But four Canadians actually played in the NBA Finals. Shale Gilgis Alexander, LaQuince Dirt, Benedict Mathurin, and Andrew Nemhard. I'll tell you one thing, Mike. A lot of people talk about Canada being known for what it does in hockey, but it was a pretty good accomplishment to see four Canadians play the NBA Finals.
Yeah, I mean, like the
I think
last.
that's
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
The last, I guess, Canadian player I really remember as being at that level was Rick Nash.
Right.
Came out of Santa Clara and then
Steve Nash.
and went off to a. Oh yeah, sorry. Rick Nash played for the Blue Jackets. I'm sorry.
I was like, I could have swore Steve Nash was Canadian. He played in the finals.
Yeah. Rick Nash is Canadian too. I just think he's a good basketball player. Thanks, Cody.
Yeah.
Steve Nash, who was a hell of a competitor, but I don't know if I could even name another Canadian player that made it to the NBA Finals. So good for them. I wish they were playing for my Celtics.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, though. I was amazed when I saw four Canadian players play the NBA Finals, and it was really refreshing to see a few of them actually get on the big stage for a sport that they say they invented. I don't know what the real story is behind it, but
one of them is probably the best player in the league right now, too, right?
Yeah, Shea Gilgis Alexander. This kid's a stud for Oklahoma City Thunder. He really is a heck of a player. All right, go ahead, Cody.
Well, I was going to say, I remember, I knew Steve Nash. I knew he was Canadian when growing up, and him just little white guy just dominating the NBA, especially when he got to Phoenix and just when he was there with Stoudemire and what's the other one? Sean Marion. Like they were so fun to watch, and like just the playmaker he was up and down the court was just it's so much fun. Than seeing SGA with the Thunder, just winning the championship this last summer, and I believe he took home the MVP as well. But it's just good to see that Canadians are getting recognized in the NBA too.
Well, so what I really feel like since we brought a Rick Nash reference up here, let's go ahead and talk about the Blue Jackets because they're playing awfully good hockey right now. So that
I
feel like actually, I have to make sure these segues go right. Then we'll go to our featured topic of the night, which is Lionel Messi. Rick Bowness says this team playing awfully well. This team is 10-1 with the Columbus Blue Jackets, and Rick Nash is actually working for the Columbus Blue Jackets. What are your thoughts, Mike, about the way the Blue Jackets are playing going into the Olympic break?
Well, I worked with Rick Bowness back in the late '90s when he was coaching the Islanders. He's a really good person and a good guy. He's always upbeat. He's very friendly. I think that's what you need with today's players. I mean, they tend to like coaches that are their friends rather than guys that are on their behinds. And so it was the right move for them, obviously, to bring him in and turn them around. They also, I thought, were on the right track a couple of years ago. And then, more than a couple of years ago now, but they had, if you remember, probably 6-7 years ago, they had an incident off ice where one of their goalies was killed by a fireworks accident in a hot tub. The other goalie was there watching. I don't remember the goalie's name. He was a Russian goalie that passed away. And then, of course, they went through the Gaudreau tragedy a couple of years ago. And so, I mean, that's a lot for any organization, particularly players, when they have those kind of tragedies with their teammates. And so maybe it's just the sort of the funk is finally wearing off, and you bring in a new guy like Rick, who's a real upbeat guy.
Right.
Surprised that he's coaching again, because he's retired about 3 times now, and can't stay away. But yeah, he just seems to be the right guy for the job. Let's see what happens the second half here if he keeps it going. I mean,
One thing.
Buffalo are like maybe 2 teams that have really turned it around with changes.
Yeah, he's the right guy for that market. I tell you, I have seen a hockey game over at Nationwide Arena in Columbus. And if you could put together some consistent winning, or at least be blue collar competitively there, you're going to win that market over. You really, really are. Columbus, to me, is a hockey town waiting to happen. They really, really are. So I think Rick Bowness is in as good of a situation as he could be in to coach hockey, since it's the only major league sports game in town. I mean, you don't have the NBA over there in Columbus per se. You don't have the NFL over there. Obviously, you have Ohio State. So he's in a really nice situation over there. Cody?
Well, I mean, he's always done well when he gets to certain places. Like I believe he took Dallas Stars to the Stanley Cup final during 2020, wasn't it? Rick Bowness, and then I mean he turned around the Jets, because the Jets were like an up and down team for years, and turned them around to be future President Trophy winners. I know he wasn't the coach, but he pretty much changed that franchise to the upwards trajectory. So I mean, I can't see why not when you have a team like Columbus with all the young talent they have there, and just I think he just pieced it all together, and that's why you're seeing Columbus play very well right now.
Yeah, he's people forget, but he was a very good assistant coach when Tampa Bay was winning cups. He was an assistant coach with John Cooper. He's no ego with this guy, which is obvious when he's willing to take assistant jobs, especially with guys that are younger than he is. And this guy's been, he's been coaching for 35 years. First in the American League and then in the NHL, and he's been everywhere from Vancouver to Ottawa to Boston to New York, Dallas, as Cody mentioned. I mean, he's been everywhere.
He's a hockey lifer. That's what he is. All right, let's talk about our featured topic of the night. We said we're going to start getting into soccer commentary. Well, Harper Williams, thanks a lot for being in the chat room. Very much appreciated. Hello to you as well. All right, well, our featured topic of the night: would Lionel Messi leave Inter Miami to go overseas? Well, you know what? Think about it. Messi goes on to say, if Barcelona makes an offer for me, I will leave for Barcelona. Lionel Messi made it clear on a Barcelona offer that would make him return. All right, let's face reality. Inter Miami has won it all. He'll certainly play there this year as they bring out their new stadium. But he continues to play well as he gets older. What are your thoughts, Mike, about Lionel Messi maybe going back to Barcelona?
Well, first of all, before I even address that, I think it would be shameful if we didn't acknowledge the fact that, in my opinion, the GOAT, Ronaldo, it's his birthday today. And he turns 41. So
Okay.
There's my man right there.
Okay, that's fine.
Old CR7. You like that, Cody?
I agree with you 100%, Mike. CR7 is my GOAT as well.
All right. So, but as far as
so we addressed it, so now you continue on.
As far as Messi going to Barcelona, there's no way that happens before the World Cup takes place here next summer. Because I mean, I think there's been some scheduling done and a lot, especially with Argentina being the defending champs, right? But he's going to be a central point of the World Cup, probably even more than he ever has been, with it being here and Miami hosting some games. So I don't see any of that happening. I also I look at the Ronaldo Messi relationship much like the Mario Lemieux Gretzky relationship,
Okay.
where Messi just doesn't really care for the media attention or to be in the spotlight, and that's fine. Where Ronaldo, takes advantage of it and does a lot of great things, but he's certainly more comfortable in front of the cameras, out in the public. Um, and I think that was exactly the relationship that you had when you compared Gretzky and Lemieux, when they were both, the stars of the NHL. I mean, Gretzky was more out front, more in the public, especially when he was traded to Los Angeles. And then in New York, Mario was one of those guys that, he didn't expect to get paid extra,
Right.
but he wasn't one that was going to do the Coca-Cola commercials and those types of things. So I don't know. I know he's a big name, and I also know that he didn't really leave Barcelona on the best terms. So I wouldn't be surprised to see if another offer came along similar to what Ronaldo got in Saudi Arabia, which is just huge money and a much more comfortable league to play in as he gets older.
See crazier things happen. So I'll say, Cody, could you see it?
I can see it, but it's not in probably this year, but maybe he gets a swan song kind of year. Like he goes back and makes amends and kind of finishes on a good note instead of what happened, how he left. But that wasn't really on Messi on how he left. I know it was more on the Barcelona side because it was I know it was a whole tax thing and financial fair play stuff. Like I said, soccer's a whole nother story with rules and everything. So I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Messi back in Barcelona, but it's definitely not going to be the same Barcelona than when he left. You know, I don't think anyone is still playing there from when he was there. It's almost a whole brand new squad. But like I said, I can see him going back, but maybe not. He probably won't be full time. He'll probably play majority of the games, but not every single game like he did before. But he'll probably end his career in Barcelona.
Yeah, Cody, what do you think? What do you think his level will be at after playing in MLS for several years? And now he's older. I mean, that's arguably some of the best soccer in the world, right? I mean, is he going to be able to play at the level that he even would want to play if he went back to Barcelona?
I think it all depends on who's around him because, I mean, back then he had Xavi, he had Iniesta, Neymar, Suarez. I mean, he has a lot of the guys that he played in Barcelona in Miami right now. He has, he had, was it Busquets? He had Jordi Alba. I think Suarez was there. And I know there was somebody else there that was, I mean, so it's pretty much kind of he almost never really left Barcelona.
But teams he's playing against aren't.
Yes, but the team, the competition is way less. But I will say MLS has definitely improved every year. They're getting better and better quality play, but it's still nothing compared to, the La Liga.
Right.
So, I mean, like I said, it all depends on who's around him, but I think Messi is on another tier where I don't think he'll miss a beat. He'll probably struggle more than he did before, but he's probably not going to be as what we say God mode is probably what he was before.
Since this is now the soccer show, Scott, I thought that I'd really like to also talk about, Cody, did you see that goalie goal that Benfica scored last week to advance to the round of 16 in the Champions League?
No, there was a
that was incredible. So they won 4 in a row to qualify for the round of 16 in the Champions League, and the fourth game they beat who was it from the Premier League? and they beat him in the 96th minute. The goalie ran down the field, and on a free kick, he headed it in for the winning goal in the 96th minute. You got to pull it up. It's unbelievable. And they qualified for the round of 16.
Oh, was this against? It says it was against Real Madrid.
Yes.
Wow.
How about that?
And Jose Mourinho's coaching Benfica. I didn't even know that.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So they have not lost a game in the Portuguese Premier League, but they have 6 draws. So they're in 3rd place behind Porto and Sporting.
Oh wow!
Really
I know Sporting is a good. It always has a good program out there. I know that.
Well, Sporting is
What?
qualified as the 7th seed in the Champions League. So
Wow, I just watched that goal. What a great header!
Is that incredible?
That's incredible. I love that.
That lifted them into the round of 16 in the Champions League.
Wow.
That was their 4th win. They had to win 4 in a row. They did, and that was the 4th win in the 96th minute.
Wow.
Scott, I mean, you gotta watch this. It's unbelievable. It'll make you a soccer fan.
At least I know my Chelsea's in the top 8. That's good to know.
At least I know I'm wearing the Chelsea hat. That's a start. Okay, and that'll be the official hat from now on of Sports Wrap. Because obviously,
I approve of that.
Hey, I got no problem with that. I don't. Jerseys you grow in and out of, hats are okay. And we're easing soccer into this thing. Pretty cool watching you guys go back and forth, because I know at a time when I was over at the Senior Bowl last week. Excuse me, Molly Middleton. What a real nice lady to work with the Senior Bowl. I felt bad for the woman. She was losing her voice the end of the week. And I walked up there and said, my voice is a little bit raw too. I said, I got to work out, but thanks to you, it worked out good. She says, good, I've got to work out for you. I'm thinking, my God, but you always enjoy it when you go through all this kind of stuff. It's really cool stuff. Yeah, though we're phasing it into soccer. I have no problem putting soccer stuff in. Another top. It worked out well.
The World Cup coming.
I know. I feeling you and I are going to be talking about that an awful lot lately. Reach out to my man Rafa over at Inter Miami. Haven't heard back from him. I usually never do through email, so we might have to lean on this guy through a text message if he hasn't forgotten about me already. The reason I hadn't gone back to an Inter Miami game is they didn't have a coach that speak English, and I don't speak Spanish, so there's a little bit of a disconnect with the bilingual stuff. So I'll be on Rafa before long, but I've got so much to deal with here between not only these shows, but they got spring training coming up as well. So let's continue on. We do have a lot of hockey to get to. Want to make sure we got the Messi thing. Hey, listen, I've seen crazier things happen. After his contract is up with Inter Miami, you never know if he could go home for a final finale. I've seen, and he's certainly talking about it. And where there's smoke, there's fire, and that's why this topic got brought up. All right, Cody, are you old enough to understand who Don Cherry is?
Probably not.
Good.
Let me do some research. You guys go ahead. I'll start doing some research.
Oh, we're going to skip over Trinity Rodman.
Well, all right. You're pushing that one. Okay. I wanted to spread it out, but we'll go ahead, Trinity Rodman, and we'll let him go ahead and research. I tell you can see how excited Candy, come on here for a minute, how excited he is to go ahead and get it about this soccer stuff. I got a lot of other stuff I'm holding back on, but I had to ease in with it. But I don't think there's no easing in with Santos at all, is there?
This is the soccer show with Cody and Mike.
Yeah, well,
that's why it's called Sports Rep, Scott. That's because
exactly.
It's not just NHL or anything like that.
I have an established brand. We just had to stick a soccer ball in it. That's all, no big deal. We scrapped the old logo just because of this.
I see a soccer ball in there.
There is one, Scott.
I know we had an old logo from another contributor who we got rid of and put this one in that had the soccer ball. You're missing that one, Candy.
Right.
All right. All right. By popular demand with Santos, we'll talk about Trinity Rodman.
We're going to earn you a credential to the World Cup by doing this, Scott.
What's that?
And we might earn you a credential to the World Cup matches by doing this.
Let me at least get a cotton pick and response from Rafa before I graduate.
Can I get one too?
I gotta get that.
I'll cover the ones at SoFi.
Yeah. Anything's possible.
I'll be happy just to be there. I don't care who's playing.
Well, yeah, same attitude I had back for the '84 Olympics when I went to the LA Forum and watched China take on some other team, and I just bought a ticket. I was just glad to be in the Forum. Of course, I'd eventually go there later for the Lakers. But all right, we'll get to Trinity Rodman. We do have other hockey stuff, but since Mike is really, as a designated co-host, I have to give him his due here, and of course, you obviously are there too. So, all right, well, we'll talk about Trinity Rodman. Has become the highest-paid women's soccer player in the world, signing a 3-year deal with the Washington Spirit, a multi-million-dollar deal. I don't know how much her dad, Dennis Rodman, is going to get any of it, but I know Dennis. But I tell you, Dennis could breed out athletes, and Trinity Rodman, I hear, is a heck of a player, Mike.
I think this is great for soccer, obviously, in the U.S., but more importantly for women's soccer in the U.S. I think that we've waited years since those stars like Mia Hamm and Brandi Chastain and that team that won the World Cup in LA, on the penalty kicks in the 90s. And the last sort of, I don't know, decade, although there was definitely some good players on that team. A lot of the off-field stuff with, being paid fairly and all that kind of stuff, I think really turned some people in this country off on soccer and on women's soccer, maybe even on some women's sports. And now you've got a girl she's a wonderful athlete, wonderful soccer player, but there's so many dimensions to her that I think make her a real popular athlete / celebrity in this country. She's I guess still dating that tennis star Ben Shelton, who's at the top of the tour, world tour. She's now the highest paid women's soccer player in the world. Obviously, she's the daughter of Dennis Rodman, who still can keep himself in the media. And I mean, even if you didn't watch him play, you certainly know who he is for all his.
Listen, I covered Dennis Rodman. Him and I were good friends in the day when he didn't have all the other stuff on him back in the Bad Boys. Dennis was a civil and one of my best friends with the Detroit Pistons and the Bad Boys. As we continue to cover soccer, I'll tell you one, like Dennis Rodman and I you always go, one thing, Cody, you learn is when you're in a locker room, you know who your friends are that will help you out when you need them all the time. And Dennis was one of those people for me. And when we want, like, I got it now. You brought this up, Mike. I have no choice but to let the cat out of the bag with this story. But in Metro Detroit, I bumped into Dennis Rodman over at West Bluefield. We were bowling, and he was with his first wife, Annie, and they had another daughter. I think her name was Lexa. I think it was, and they're just a good young family. So I saw Dennis. I was rolling there. Dennis and I always hung out. We hugged, and he always helped me out when I needed to. And I needed Bill Lambier to get off my back. He definitely took care of that for me too. But he saw my bowling form. Many years ago, I won a trophy for most unusual form in bowling. And, not like his free throw shooting was very good either. So I challenged him to a game. He beat me the first time. I said, you want to do double or nothing? And then you have to pay for both games? No problem. And I ended up beating him the second game. But he didn't care about what the game. It's just we had a lot of fun as two friends in a little competitive atmosphere over at West Bloomfield Lane. It's what it is. But now, obviously, where does this come into play here? Well, he's a father who's competitive, and his kids are obviously competitive. And there we are over to Trinity Rodman. Had to get that story since you brought up Dennis. Go ahead, Mike, continue.
This girl, I mean, I think she's fantastic for soccer. I think she's fantastic for women's soccer. I think she's fantastic for women's sports. And I believe, men's soccer, has needed somebody like this at this level of status, on their side for years. And here we are, we sort of made that leap where there was definitely some good players, but this girl's got the personality and the celebrity, I think, to really go a long way.
All right, Cody. And then you're going to hopefully have your research on Don Cherry by then, so you don't feel like you're too out the lunch.
Well, I haven't, like I said, I haven't been as informed with soccer, so I had to look up who Trinity Rodman was. I recognize the last name, but I didn't realize that was Dennis Rodman's daughter. But she's actually from near where I used to live. I used to live in Lake Forest. She's from Newport Beach. So, but when you were saying Dennis Rodman, I had a buddy who was he was pretty close with Dennis Rodman. He said he was one of the nicest guys you would ever meet. So, but
Yeah.
no, this is great for I think soccer and just women's sports in general. You know, seeing how more popular women's sports is getting, and now you're getting someone like this who's getting paid more is just that means later on more women are going to get paid more and more. So I think this is great for, like I said, women's soccer and all of women's sports in general. So
Here's a little insight about Dennis Rodman. Chuck Daly was the head coach of the Detroit Pistons, and he was a father figure to Dennis Rodman. When Chuck Daly was no longer as a coach, that's when Dennis Rodman went into mental chaos. That's, like I tell you, I saw it firsthand. All right. So, all right, let's continue. All right, time to talk Don Cherry, Cody. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that he's the Dick Vitale of Canada. But Don Cherry went on record saying anybody who says they don't like fighting in the NHL have to be out of their minds. I'll tell you can't really ignore that, Mike. I mean, hockey and fighting, I think, have always gone hand in hand, going back to the original six.
Look, we grew up with it. It was a part of the game, and he was a big proponent of it, no doubt about it. I mean, he was the most watched hockey analyst in the world, really. I mean, especially, you know, his between period segments on Hockey Night in Canada every Saturday night. People would huddle around on the TV wherever they were, just to watch his segment between periods. And usually it centered around some type of violence or big hit or fighting. He loved the so-called tough guys. But particularly when Gary Bettman came in as commissioner and the league started to move towards getting some national television contracts in the United States, they started to take a little bit different tone or a little different point of view on fighting. And they slowly, created rules to limit it. And so the guys that you're seeing playing in the NHL just didn't grow up the same way the guys did before them. You still see the fighting, but it's not the real fighting that we saw for decades and decades and decades. A lot of it's just kind of foolishness. I mean, like that goalie fight that was in the outdoor game last week between Tampa and Boston was just ridiculous. I mean, that along with the costumes that they all have to wear now before the game is just getting foolish. It looks like a WWE event to me. So, Don Cherry, I mean, God love him. But, like everything else, things change. And, he's a relic of the past now. I mean, I don't know how old he is, but he's got to be at least in his mid-80s.
Well, actually, now that you mentioned that, he just turned 92 today, now that you mentioned it. 92.
Oh, wow, it is 92 today.
Yeah, he is. It's his birthday, 92 today.
Same birthday as Ronaldo. And so...
And, well, if you're going to go that far, now that you brought that up, it's the same birthday as my late grandma Sophie today as well. Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up. Happy birthday, Grandma Sophie. I love you very much, and now I'm dedicating this show to you. My Grandma Sophie Morganroth, to me, was a mother for me, and I love my grandmother so much, and I miss her dearly. She died in 2020, and here we are in 2026, and I'm going ballistic behind the microphone. So February 5th is a great birthday, and I'll tell you one thing, I miss that woman more than anybody you can imagine. So you talk about legendary people in your life. My Grandma Sophie was dead, and I'm proud of everything that she's instilled into me to try to hopefully make me a decent person anyways. And also I sent our condolences to Mickey Lolich, the former Detroit Tigers pitcher who passed away yesterday at the age of 85. He's my childhood idol, and he was on the Sports Exchange a few years back, and I have a picture on my Facebook page, Mike, on there with Mickey Lowledge, and I had a great time. So throwing a lot out here, and thanks to Don Sherry looking for birthdays, and now we're coming up with a few other things. Great stuff, Mike. I knew I knew that you'd be a great co-host, and obviously Cody will be my heir apparent here when it comes to the hockey show / soccer nowadays. But it is what it is. I mean, Don Sherry is what he. I think the best goaltending fight I've ever seen though was, without doubt, Mike Vernon and Patrick Waugh. That wasn't staged. That was just a classic.
That was real. But that was
Patrick Waugh and Mike Vernon. There was nothing fighting about that one, was there? Those two teams hate each other.
That's 25 years ago now.
Yeah.
You know,
it was a great fight. Not sure to be proud of that goaltender fight. Mike Vernon and Patrick Waugh. All right, Cody, some thoughts about fighting, because I'm going to hit you guys with another cherry topic in a moment.
I mean, who doesn't like seeing fighting in hockey? Because I think, honestly, that's also what's helped the hockey just this last year at Four Nations. We had the 3 fights in the first 9 seconds of that USA-Canada game, and nobody would stop talking about hockey. Like, you had Pat McAfee talking about it. You had other shows that had nothing to do with hockey talking about it. So, I mean, it's going to grow the game. I'm not saying we need to see a fight all the time, but I mean, I think it's great for the game, because I mean, everyone says oh, football's the best. I'm like, well, they're doing the exact same thing in hockey, and they're allowed to fight. And all they have to do is sit for 5 minutes, and they're usually right back on the ice and playing. So I think it's great for the sport to keep fighting in. I know they're trying to push it out as much as possible, but I think it's better for the game. But I'm on Wikipedia looking up Don Cherry. I don't know how. I mean, he had not a long career in the NHL, just the one playoff game. No, that was it in the NHL. But
no, he made his hay in the American Hockey League, particularly with Hershey, and then
in Rochester.
He became a coach of the Boston Bruins when they were the big bad Bruins. But
I'm looking at this he made the playoffs every single year, and he only did he stop coaching, or did they let him go? Because I'm looking at it: second to Adams, first in the Adams, first. Took him to 2 Stanley Cup Finals. I mean, they lost both, but how do you let a coach go that's taken you that far almost every year?
I think Boston just wanted to change. At that time, Harry Sinnen was in charge, and he needed to find somebody to get him over that hump. I mean, the big problem they had during his years were the Montreal Canadiens. And one year they lost to the Montreal Canadiens in the conference finals. And what happened was they were actually up by a goal and late in the game. And the Bruins took a too many men on the ice penalty. And it was Game 7 in Montreal. The Bruins hadn't beaten the Canadiens in a playoff series for a couple of decades. And too many men on the ice penalty, which Cherry got the blame for, obviously, as the coach. And Guy Lafleur then scored in the last minute of the period on the power play with a slap shot just inside the blue line. And then they went into overtime, and Yvon Lambert beat them in overtime, and they lost again. And I think that was probably the end for Don Cherry.
Okay.
Yeah,
was this back when in the power play it was full 2 minutes no matter what, huh?
No, it wasn't that. It was just that they took a too many minute on the ice penalty.
No, I get that, but back then, a power play. Even when you scored on the power play, you were still on the power play.
Yeah, but not at that time. Not at that time.
Okay.
This was mid '70s when this was all happening.
Yeah, they lost to Montreal 3 years in a row, twice in the final, and then his last year lost in the semifinal, and that's you saying the too many men penalty that ruined it.
Yeah, that's what happened. He took the blame for a too many men on the ice penalty in the last, I want to say, minute and a half of the game, up by a goal, Game 7, and it cost them the game and the series.
And then he only coached one other year after that with the Rockies, and that was it. That's just crazy.
He was a little crazy as a coach. I mean, he obviously with Boston, he had a lineup of fighters. I mean, he had John Wensink, he had Stan Jonathan, he had Terry O'Reilly, Wayne Cashman. I mean, his team was loaded with tough guys. I mean, it was right on the heels of Philadelphia, who came along
The Broad
in
Street Bullies.
the early '70s, right, and won by intimidation. And so Cherry came in. Boston hired Cherry, and he came in and pretty much said, "Okay, then we'll beat you up," And
Got it.
the problem was he could never get past Montreal, so they finally moved on.
Well, I learned something today.
Oh, don't worry. Well, that's all right. That's what with Mike and I here. You're always going to learn something. That's why we love, and the three of us make a pretty good team here because obviously, Cody, you're the junior, and Mike and I have been around for a while. That's why you fit in so well. We'll go on to Don Cherry one more time. He actually had been running the Grapevine podcast with his son Tim since 2019, amassing 313 episodes. He shut down the podcast. He's a longtime analyst of Hockey Night Canada. So if you're not from our neck of the woods, but I enjoyed watching him on there. I think that with Hockey Night Canada, he made a name for himself there. I think what's interesting about Don Cherry is once he finally got done with coaching, he knew broadcasting was his way to vent and not have to worry about making the critical decisions. And then he invested in his wardrobe with those checkered coats and his personality. Mike, I mean, I guess when you look at Don Cherry and put it in perspective, there's surely two careers. He had the coaching career and then the broadcasting career, and then he had a podcast he actually had running into his 90s. What are your what would you, when you look at Don Cherry, what's the best thing that stands out in your mind about him, Mike?
Well, you just brought it up. I mean, he was the master of the flamboyant outfits, right? The crazy.
Right.
I mean, for Cody, you remember Barry Melrose used to wear all wide lapels. I mean, Don Cherry did that before Barry Melrose.
It's like Daryl Evans with the Kings.
Yeah, exactly. Barry Melrose copied Don Cherry. Don Cherry used to dress like that with the crazy looking jackets and the wide lapels and the big ties and the.
I could see this in one of the pictures on Wikipedia. He's wearing one of those like big flap things, and he has two Canadian flags in it. I honestly, this is my kind of guy. I'd probably like to hang out with.
He's like I said earlier, he was must watch TV, especially in Canada. He was on between periods. Every Hockey Night in Canada broadcast on every Saturday night. The name of his skit was Coach's Corner. Right. And he would just go on there and ramble for a whole intermission usually about fighting and show you highlights of big hits and things like that. In fact, he even had he used to sell videos of big hits and fights. It used to be called Rock'em Sock'em Hockey. He used to sell videos of just fights.
Huh.
Let me tell you, Cody, when you're living in Metro Detroit and you have Windsor right nearby, we had, and I'm sure you've probably been by there a lot, Mike. CKLW was really big out there. Channel 9, you could get all those things. And we knew all about Don Cherry. And I guess the best thing you could at least relate to Barry Melrose jackets, Cody, at least you could get a rough idea to go ahead and get a feel for what a treasure this guy is. When we talk about Dick Vitale being a treasure, Don Cherry was that when it came to the media as well. And on his 92nd birthday, it's only fitting that we're able to bring him on and talk about his legacy, both as a broadcaster and the fact that he talks about fighting. I tell you what, the Gordie Howe hat trick doesn't become the Gordie Howe hat trick unless there's fighting, because that's one of the three, isn't it? A goal, an assist, and a fight. And that's how the Gordie Howe hat trick came about, is due to fighting, and that's where it becomes interrelated, Cody. Hope you got a little bit of insight about Don Cherry. Now you'll think about him when you and Mike and I continue to give you a steady diet of hockey stuff. Also, I talked to Steve Reichel, Mike, and we might even bring Combat Sports in here once in a while. I may drag him over here and have it, instead of you going on Monday night, we're going to drag Steven here. I've already told him that he's going to come out once in a while on Thursday, and we'll talk about Combat Sports. We're going to make sure Sports Rep is Combat Sports, soccer, and hockey. I mean, after all, we're talking about fighting. What do you think, Mike, as my co-host? You want Steven Reichel on once in a while?
I'm all about combat sports too. I mean, it's right up there with, especially I'm a big wrestling fan, as you know, college wrestling, not
That's
the,
okay. Well, then
but
that
I like all that stuff. But I'm on soccer, man.
I know you are. I know. I got a couple good topics waiting on here. We're just kind of breaking in, breaking the code. So, anything else you want to learn about Don, Sherry, Cody? Since you're on the West Coast, after all, once upon a time, who did I have on here? Was it Alan? I'm gonna go Greenberg. There we go. Hey, I'll tell you, when you were out on vacation, Mike, I had Alan Greenberg, and Cody was going ballistic about how much knowledge Alan Greenberg had. And now the three of us are together. I'll have to reach out to Alan and get him on sometime too.
Yeah, Alan was so fun to have on here.
Yeah, he was. All right, well, let's continue the hockey theme a little bit. Don, Sherry, happy birthday from all your friends here over on Sports Wrap. All right, Oklahoma State has plans to add Division I hockey and a new arena by 2030. Great for college hockey, adding the Cowboys to that part of the country. You know what, Mike? I like this move. The Oklahoma State Cowboys, obviously a member of the Big 12, are now throwing their hat into the hockey. What are your thoughts about this?
I mean, I think for years hockey fans have hoped that this type of stuff would happen. It's not as easy as just making an announcement that you're going to do this and you're going to build an arena and everything else. I mean, the University of Illinois tried it; they never got it off the ground. It took very wealthy donors in Arizona for Arizona State and Penn State to get Division I hockey programs off the ground with facilities. So, I mean, you hear rumblings every once in a while. I hope it's true. I hope it happens. Tennessee State made an announcement about 3 years ago that they were going to have the first black college Division I ice hockey team, and they still are nowhere after 3 years. So it'd be great. They'd be on an island, I'll tell you, there in Oklahoma, though, because I don't know what league they would join, at least right now, and I don't know, who would want to be going down there to play them. But maybe it'll happen, and it can spread to other universities in the Southwest that have the money to do things, whether it's a Texas or an SMU or. The other thing to note too, when it comes to college hockey, is everything that's happened now with Canadian junior players being eligible to play NCAA hockey, is it's elevated Division I competition, but it's also, I think, demoted Division III college hockey to the point where ACHA, which is club hockey, is now growing leaps and bounds across the country. And there are a lot of big universities from Oklahoma and Alabama to Clemson and Miami who have great club programs. There's over 500 college club programs in 5 different divisions in the United States right now. So I think that's something to look for. And if Oklahoma State's going to start somewhere, they probably need to start like at that level and build it from there before they can just jump into Division I.
Yeah, I'll tell you honestly, I really hope it works out there. There isn't a lot of competition down there. And obviously you have Oklahoma State doing well. And you also have teams in Texas in the NHL. You have at least the Dallas Stars, and I wouldn't be surprised with expansion whether Houston gets a team. So you may be ramping up that part of the country, and the timing for Oklahoma State to get involved probably could be right there. Some thoughts, Cody, about Oklahoma State getting a team is 20. You're only looking 4 or 5 years out. That's not a long time.
No, I mean this. I think it would be great for hockey to you're getting more and more different spots to grow the game, like you were saying, like with Houston for possible expansion, and you got ASU that's, I mean, not close, but it's not far either, so that would help them out. And I've heard a lot of great things about this. I forgot which podcast I was listening to. They were talking about this, and I think it was Spit and Chicklets that was talking about this, and they were saying that like these guys flew in on a charter plane and everything. Like everything they were doing was like paid for. They looked great. They looked like they were a D1 college team already, pretty much. So I've heard great things about it, and I think it's great for hockey to grow the game out in a different area that we've never really seen hockey before.
Well, I've got some other a big trade the other day. Our Temi Panarin has been traded to the LA Kings for a Liam Greentree and a conditional third-round draft pick. New York, obviously, a 2028 fourth-round pick, which is also conditional. And when you also think about it, you have, which obviously two conditionals. The Kings have also proceeded to sign Panarin to a 2-year, $22 million contract extension, $11 million is your AAV. Thoughts about the move, Mike?
Well, I don't know what's going on in New York, but it's not good. Since Chris Drury became the general manager a couple of years back, he's just ripped that thing apart. And there's some sort of problem between him and the players there. He's brought in a new coach again this year, right? Like Sullivan, and who's known for being a player's coach, if you will, a guy that players respect. And I mean, he was in Pittsburgh for over a decade, and he just can't seem to keep anybody there. And I mean, I look at the team as he inherited it, which for a couple of years was thought to be a Stanley Cup contending team, and now you see whether it's Trouba, who's now with Cody's Ducks, or Chris Kreider, who probably scored every big goal the Rangers had in a playoff game for 15 years, who's also on the West Coast now. And now they send Panarin, who's a load of talent, to the other team here in the South Bay area, right? So I don't know what's going on there, but something's not good with Chris Drury because he's ripped that whole team apart. They got a prospect in the deal back, but certainly not anybody that's going to be at the level of Panarin. And I don't see this team being ready to win anytime soon. I mean, I don't look at their prospects and say, oh wow, they got this guy coming and that guy coming, and they're clearing the deck and they're gonna start with a young group. I just don't see it. I don't see any direction, and and I never knew. Of course, they didn't play for me, but I never knew Kreider or Trouba or any of these guys to have any type of reputation of being, a disturbance in the dressing room or having any kind of issues with coaches. So something's not right. And for me, I pin it on Drury. And for LA, wow, what a great pickup for them in the middle of a playoff race.
Cody, some thoughts about Panarin headed to your neck of the woods?
Well, I knew the Kings were one of the front runners. They desperately need offensive help. They struggle offensively. They've never been a top offensive team ever, as long as I can remember. But I think this is a great move for them. I mean, this could be someone that can jumpstart Quentin Byfield, who's been struggling.
Yeah.
People are like this close to saying Byfield's a bust just because number 2 overall, he had very high expectations and he's struggling. And I know Panarin has always been known for someone to help people get out of funks usually. So, I mean, if you put him with Kempe, you have Kopitar, Kuzmenko's been there, and you get Fiala, that's a pretty decent top 6. Now, when you have, if you add Panarin in there, but I can tell you this, I was shocked to hear the trade value. I mean, I know it doesn't help that that's the only place he wanted to go, and that kind of devalues the trade package. And like I said, I was hearing he wanted $50 million no matter what. on that extension. You can split it up however they want, 4 or 5, 6 years, however you want. He wanted 50 million. So I was shocked just to see it was just 11 million AAV for 2 years. And
Well,
also a full new move clause as well.
Yeah, this is a better version of when the Kings added Marian Gaborik.
Gabrick, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree.
This
It's giving me that vibe.
Yeah, it's a better, and that was a great addition for them and put them over the top.
I know, trust me. I don't like Gabrick because he was a duck killer.
Right.
I respect him though.
Yeah, and I think this is even a younger version of that. Like you said, Cody, he's gonna add to their top 2 lines. I don't know what the Rangers are thinking. Who's the other kid they traded last year to Seattle? Top draft
Capo?
pick. Yeah, they got rid of him. Like I don't know what's going on with Chris Drury, but
well, I mean, as you were saying with the Kreider and Trouba trade, I mean the Ducks got Trouba and Kreider for Urho Vakanainen, who's usually like a 7th defenseman, a 4th round pick in the 2025 draft, and then Kerry Terrence, who, and I would say not a top tier prospect, but he could be either a lifelong AHLer or a bottom 6 kind of forward, and a 3rd round pick. I mean, I would do that trade in a heartbeat to get those 2 players, and I think it's working very well for the Ducks right now with those 2 trades.
Yeah,
and I mean, and who the Rangers got back with the Liam Greentree, that was the Kings' top prospect. So at least, and like I said, I've heard very good things about him. He's having a down year this year, but then again, I also think the team he's on is also having a down year. I want to say he's with the Windsor Spitfires in the OHL, but he had a great year last year, and I think he would have really benefited more with that new rule that's going to be in the CBA, where if you can have the 19-year-old play in the AHL without, and I think Liam that would have been the perfect spot for Liam Greentree this year. I think he would have been a better fit playing in the AHL to grow his game more there than going back to the OHL. So, and those 2 conditional picks. So, I mean, but the conditions are a lot of conditions on those 2 picks as well. Yeah. So, like I said, at least they didn't get like a nobody prospect. Liam Greentree was like either the number 1 or number 2 prospect in the Kings system.
We'll see how it plays out. All right. Let's go to the AHL, but there's a good reason why we are. Sebastian Cossa actually is the goaltender of the month, 7-0-1 record, 2 shutouts with a 9.29 save percentage, 1.76 goals against average. He's the first goalie in franchise history to receive the award twice in the same season with the Grand Rapids Griffins. Here's the thing. Cam Talbot has been 2-10 in his last 12 games with the Red Wings. John Gibson has had to carry the load. Mike, I'm going to ask you this directly. What Cosa's doing over at Grand Rapids is great, okay? At what point or another now, with Talbot struggling, because you can't rely on Gibson a whole lot longer, I bet if there's anybody grateful that you have an Olympic break, it's him, because he needs a little bit of a break. But at some point or another, when does Cossa become the number 2 behind John Gibson, number 1, and you have to move on off of Talbot or make him a number 3? Because it's time to get Cossa to the NHL, Mike. And this guy has probably done everything he can do at Grand Rapids. I hear Grand Rapids is having a sensational season anyhow, but it's time for Cossa to get to the NHL.
Yeah, well, Grand Rapids is having a sensational season, in part because they have a sensational lineup down there. They spent a lot of money on players for an AHL team. So I'm sure Cosa's playing great, but I also think he's got a team in front of him that is just superior to everybody else in that league.
Right.
That being said, why wouldn't you bring him up and see what you can do? Because if you don't think Gibson can carry the water the rest of the way here, then let's get him up now while Gibson's able to carry the water. And so you'll at least find out. So I'd be with you on that, Scott. Like, bring him up and let's find out.
Steve Eiserman's got to get this guy up there. He drafted him. He's one of his guys. Mike, at some point, Coach has got to get up there. Steve Eiserman drafted this guy, and he's playing great. And Cam Talbot, I have nothing against him personally, but John Gibson is overachieved. You don't feel sorry for the guy. Without Gibson, the Red Wings would be on the verge of missing. They're having a good year for sure, but God Almighty, Costa's got to get up there at some point.
Yeah, they can't fall out of a playoff spot this year if they ever did.
No, they can't. No, you're right, Mike. They cannot do that. Go ahead, Code.
I'm on Puckpedia, and like Cam Talbot's on his last year of his contract. So he's making $2.5 million this year. He's 38 years old. I think it's probably about time for him. Maybe I mean, why not try to, maybe put him on waivers, or if you have an extra spot, bring up Costa, see how he does. Do a 3-goalie thing for a little bit, see how Costa does. If Costa works out, then you can easily waive Talbot and stuff like that. Because I doubt anyone's going to pick up that contract this late. And if you do, if Costa works out, let him get some playoff experience too, like going with the team, seeing how Gibson is a great mentor. I mean, look what's happening with the Ducks right now with Dostal. And, we had Gibson and Dostal for a couple of years, and look how well Dostal's been playing. So Gibson would be a great person to mentor Costa. So, like I said, I think, if they have the room, do the 3-goalie tandem. Try Costa out for a game or two, see how he does. If he looks good, I would put Talbot on waivers and put him and send him down to Grand Rapids, and then you can run Gibson and Costa for the rest of the year, and then that way Costa can kind of see what it's like to be in the playoffs. Because I mean, Gibson's played in the playoffs. I know it's been a long time, but he's been there. So, and it'll be nice to see Detroit back in the playoffs as well.
Yeah, long overdue for sure. We're going to bring Candy Ebling on for the last 2 segments is what we're going to do. And I'll tell you why we're going to bring her on for the last 2 segments. Number one of them involves mental health. Linus Ullmark took a leave of absence for mental health. Candy, what are your thoughts about Linus Ullmark taking a leave of absence for mental health? Obviously, this is something we address a lot of times anyways, and now you have a goaltender with Ottawa. This is something that if you have to do, you have to do what you have to do.
I think it's good that he's doing it. We've brought more awareness to the fact that people do sometimes need help in the mental arena, whether it be, a leave of absence, whether it be even just more recognition about going and getting help, whatever it looks like for everybody. I'm all for it. It's not something we talked about back in the day, but it's something that has been brought more to life lately.
Mike?
Yeah, I think Candy makes a really good point. And when I look at a hockey team, there's probably no position that has more pressure on them every day than a goaltender. And especially if you're the number 1 goaltender, which he was in Ottawa, there's a lot of pressure riding on that position and that person all the time. Just, in addition to whatever else is going on in the person's life. I mean, these people they're human beings just like we are. They happen to be very, very good hockey players and great athletes, and they make a living at it, make a nice living at it. But that doesn't separate them from all the other trials and tribulations that we all go through as human beings, right? And so I agree. If somebody needs a break, you got to listen to them. You've got to be aware of people, and good for the Ottawa Senators for allowing them to take that break too.
Yeah, I'm glad the sports world in general is becoming a lot more sympathetic for these players that when they need a mental health break. I really am. I think it's something that's across the board. Hey, we need a mental health break. Teams are going to support you a lot. And by the way, good job, Cody, with supplemental facts on the Talbot situation. That he's at the end of the line anyway, 38 and all that, to support the coach topic, because I think that was important that this guy needs to get up to the bigs. All right, so some thoughts. Cody, about Linus Olmark?
Well, I mean, they were saying I know he said in the interview that all this started happening after he got traded from Boston to Ottawa. I mean, you get traded from somewhere that you wanted to be at. He wanted to be in Boston. You took him away from his best friend, Jeremy Swayman. You saw how well those guys worked together, and you go to a new area, whole new country. You have to uproot your family, move to a different country. Now you have the pressure of being a goalie, like what Mike Santos said. Like, you have all that pressure because goalies have the most pressure of everyone in hockey. And then also you're trying to lead this team who hasn't been in the playoffs for years. So I think there was all that pressure probably easily could have got to him. And I just don't like how the rumor started going around about what was going on when he took the leave of absence. I hate that people did that. It's none of our business for why he took the leave of absence. So, I'm kind of glad that Senators came out and defended him because I think that looks better for them. But like I said, I hope he feels better. I wish him the best. Like I said, when he's on, he's one of the best goalies in the world. So I hope he finds the help he needs and he's better and he can continue playing well for Ottawa.
Yeah, Boston made a big mistake when they chose to trade him.
Yeah,
I think so too.
They put themselves behind the 8 ball then and had to give Swayman a big contract that he didn't deserve and so far hasn't been able to live up to.
He's been better this year, I will say.
Yeah, but I'm with you all the way.
Mm-hmm.
Linus Olmark should never have been traded from Boston. So I wish Olmark nothing but the best. Our final topic is a non-sports topic, and it's a very lighthearted one since we have Hollywood Spink in here anyway. And Kevin Costner is reportedly dating director Kelly Noonan, who is the ex-wife of billionaire Alex Goda, and they met through a mutual friend. All right, Candy, any news about old Kevin Costner? As everybody knows about Kevin Costner, right? Field of Dreams, right? How about old Kevin? He's a stud man.
He's done some really good movies. Good for him. Hope he finds true happiness.
All right, Cody.
I'm trying to look up who his girlfriend is. Kelly Noonan. She looks familiar. I'm just trying to remember. This is because me and my wife just finished watching Yellowstone with him in it. So if you haven't watched it, I highly recommend watching Yellowstone. It was great, but I mean,
my nephew Brandon actually played for the Yellowstone Quakes. I think Mike. I don't know if they had a team out there for these young kids, and Brandon actually played in it.
Well, I just think that he blew it when he didn't stay with that girl when he was pitching for the Tigers and he threw the perfect game.
Oh, okay. Was it Amy? Was it Amy Adams?
No. What was that movie?
Oh,
Bull Durham, right?
No. When he pitched for the Tigers.
Oh,
He threw the perfect game in the last game of the season at Yankee Stadium.
Oh,
well, I remember that.
I just watched it like a year ago.
And the girl used to be up in the stands every game, watching them every game, and they broke up, and she wasn't there for the perfect game.
Oh God, it's killing me. I'm looking at it now.
We watched it at the airport bar, though. I couldn't. I think it was at JFK. I don't think it was LaGuardia.
Let's see. Where is it? Did I miss it? Where is it?
Yeah.
His last name was like Chapel something.
Yeah, they used to call his
for the love of the game.
Yeah, for love of the game, Chappie. His nickname was Chappie. Remember the catcher came out there?
Yeah.
Who was the catcher there? That roly-poly guy with the big beard.
Oh,
He did a lot of. He played opposite.
in Talladega Nights with what's his name? Will Ferrell.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was so weird seeing him as like a serious catcher.
He was a catcher.
He played the part well.
I think he followed after Bill Freehand. I think he was the catcher for the Tigers there, Scott.
Bill Freehand. Let me tell you, I like Bill Freehand. Many years ago when I was a catcher, I wore that number 11 proudly. And by the way, for a lot of you, now that we're talking Tigers baseball, Terry Scooble's $32 million richer as he won his arbitration case. And he'll get, Yeah, he's going to get $32 million to play pitch while Tigers made another free agent splash yesterday. I won't get into that. But Terry Skubal has $32 million written all over his pocketbook and wants to get
What's
for
Paul?
this year.
What's Paul Skeens going to get on his next contract?
No,
God,
imagine.
65, 70 million.
Why you want to incorporate baseball into this too? I'll be more than happy to put baseball in here. We've done everything else. Can you handle baseball, Mike?
Sure, but Paul Skeens, like I think he'll do the class, or his agent will do the classic move. They'll hold up the Pirates for some huge amount of money, and then
He'll own the Pirates. What are you talking about? He can buy them.
They're going to spend any money.
Like Lemieux did the Penguins.
As soon as he gets the contract, then he'll tell him he wants out of there.
And,
I just
baseball in here.
I just can't believe that the Detroit Tigers weren't willing to give Skubal, who's been one of the best pitchers in baseball the last 2 or 3 years. That I think they wanted to pay him $19 million a year, but they give Framber Valdez $38.5 million a year. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry. I would take Skubal over Framber Valdez all day.
Any day.
Yeah. Well, you know what though?
I know my baseball too, and I just when I saw that, I'm like, wow, they're willing to give him $38 million, but they were gonna like lowball chain Skubal. I was like, wow.
Well, let me ask you a question. Now that you open up a new can of worms here, do you realize that Valdez's agent is Scott Boras?
Oh, well, it looks like Skubal needs a new agent.
Well, no, actually, I have a gut feeling. And now we keep adding sports to sports wrap every week anyways. What the hell's another one? But I wouldn't be surprised if Boris got Valdez the money, whether he's going to use that contract to get Skubal some money. They're both be on there, and Skubal's not going anywhere. If that isn't chess like I've ever seen, Mike, this is posturing if I've ever – listen, you've been commissioners of the leagues. Come on, Mike, you got to tell me there's some posturing going on here with Scott Boras with getting Valdez in. Cody let the cat out of the bag on that one for Skubal. I have a feeling that, all right, you got my man Valdez because Boras had a good relationship with him many years ago, and now I have a feeling that door is opening up again for Skubal. There's more to this story than meets the eye, so now I'm going to have to think of some baseball topic or two in there. We got soccer, we got hockey. That's what sports rap was intended to be. Good stuff. Framer Valdez, we're going to add that one too, Cody. Proud of you. You're unbelievable. Hank. I don't know what to do. This is a executive producer dream when I got guys like you guys adding more and more to my plate so we can make it more and more interesting. All right, so back to Kevin Costner. Did we all talk about Kevin Costner in our own crazy way before we got off point?
Yeah.
All I know is Field of Dreams was great. I enjoyed going to the site. More power to him. Whoever you're dating, I hope you're having a good time, man. I enjoy watching your movies, Kevin. They are really, really
good. Movie too.
Yeah. So, Candy, give us why don't you give everybody a preview of Fire Up here in the Country Club, then we'll let Mike and Cody get their things going, and I'll be working on getting guests on the new improved sports wrap. That's right, people. The new improved sports wrap. I got myself as executive producer number 1, Mike Santos, executive producer number 2, Cody Smeek, executive producer number 3, and we have a new improved version of sports wrap with our incredible background, jack of all trades, Candy Emily in the background. All right, Candy, give everybody a preview of what's going on with the Country Club.
See, that's the logo, Scott. It's got a soccer ball in it. It's got hockey. It's got you name it in there.
It has a dart. It even has darts in there.
Yeah. It does. It has darts. It has boxing glove, like golf. It's got you name it right there.
A little microphone right on the basketball.
Exactly. Anyways, Scott, for your information, there is a huge sporting event that takes place on Sunday. Lots of people will be watching. They've talked about should they move it or not. And yes, we're talking the Super Bowl. Should it be on Sunday? Should it be on Saturday? Teams in it, Seattle versus Patriots. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about some coaching changes, and is the transfer portal really working or not?
Oh, I like that.
I hope both teams lose on Sunday. I'm a Rams fan, so yeah. I'm still a little hurt.
I got you.
So sure that's going to happen, but okay. Otherwise,
can
sports
dream.
would have to be redefined.
But if I wanted someone, I'd rather see Drake May win than. Even though I have nothing against Sam Darnold, I just don't like the Seahawks. Just saying.
Well, it's okay. That's out of your opinion. No problem. So, so that's what you got going in the country club. All right. So, Mike, all right, give us an overview of what's going on with Hockey Operations LLC. Got a lot cooking. Next week we'll be on the same time, same place. So,
Yeah, couple things. Well, obviously, if anyone wants to get a hold of me, the best way is my first initial, Santos at hockeyoperations.org. And I'll be happy to answer anybody's emails, inquiries. Couple of things of note coming up on Monday in the afternoon. It's the battle of first place in the Portuguese Premier League as Porto hosts Sporting Football Club. And then in the evening, one of my favorite events that I happened to be lucky enough to participate in a long, long time ago, the Beanpot Hockey Final at the Garden in Boston. And this year's final is going to feature Boston University against Boston College. So tune into that if you're a hockey fan. It's a can't miss game. Yeah, and other than that, I also would like to tell you that I was given an invitation to run the Chicago Marathon next October, so I'm pretty excited about that.
wow, great stuff, Mike. All right. Well, don't worry. I'll make sure when we go to the Bradley that we'll make sure there's some good old cod fish headed your way to get you prepared for it. Although I don't know how big. That's a pretty cool place. We'll be getting there at some point or another. All right, Tony, put your information out there, my friend.
Yeah, you can follow my dad and I at Royally Quacked on all social media. You can watch us live. We took a week off because we were both just schedules a little hectic this last weekend, but we'll be back this Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can watch us live on Twitch and YouTube, and hit the subscribe button. We'd appreciate it because we're trying to build our community up, and can't wait to get talking about the last couple weeks of hockey and the Panarin trade with my dad. Me and him already talked a little bit on the phone, but we want to hear what our fans want to hear, what they think about the trade. So can't wait for that.
So I foresee no interruptions for the next few weeks here. We're in town for a little while anyway. So sports wrap meeting new and improved. I don't know what we're going to put in it nowadays because I got a lot of different hands in the pot here coming up with ideas. But I am certainly listening to my two co-hosts as well, and they're giving me their input. I'm going to just put it all in there. Maybe I might throw a baseball topic or two in there. I don't know. And there might be a soundbite of Mr. Boston College. I never know, Kenny. We might have to cue up the old boundary comments about Bill O'Brien for this show because I'll tell you, he's a good kid out of Boston College. He really is. So we'll have all kinds of things to make the show even more interesting. Focal points, hockey and soccer. But I'll tell you one thing. I'm not going to hesitate to use every tool in our pocket to make it more and more interesting. All right, Kenny, go again. Kevin Costner, hey, whoever you're dating, have a good time. It's just good to be able to talk some entertainment with a guy. I can't get over Kevin Costner because I'll tell you, when you've been to that Field of Dreams site, and it's so surreal when you've gone there, and I think about him and all the other movies that he's been involved in, he's certainly one of my favorite actors of all time for sure. More power to him. All right, Candy, take us the rest of the way.
Well, come on. I want him to be my bodyguard, just like he was for Whitney Houston. Remember that movie?
Yeah.
Anyways, South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth, talks about his 40-plus years in the media and how it has evolved and changed. Go get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. It's also available in audio version, so go get your copy today. There's a link on our website as well, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content, so go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you see the red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, that means you have not yet subscribed to us. What are you waiting for? Just click it, like us, share us with all your friends and family. And then turn on that notifications button so you're notified every time we go live. Monday nights, we talk baseball. Tuesday nights, we talk football. Wednesday nights on Sports Exchange, you never know what Scott's got up his bag of tricks. And now, obviously, on Sports Rap, you never know what he's going to be talking about either. And then on Fire Up, it's the Country Club. So come on over to my side. And then Saturday mornings, wake up with Inside the Pigskin, where we have a UCLA Bruin versus a USC Trojan.
Wow, love that.
Back to you,
Love
Scott.
that. That's a heck of a show, Mike and Cody. It really is. I got Mel Farr Jr. and Marvin Paul III on there. And on this Saturday, Steve Ballesteri from Boston. I don't know if you've heard of Steve Ballesteri at all, Mike. At all, but yeah, actually, I have to bring Hugh on the show with him one time. He's one of my closest friends. He's going to be on this Saturday morning to join us and give us the Patriots side of what's going on up there as well. So I'm well connected all over as well. I'll have to get you and Ballesteri on the show. Steve is one of my close friends. In fact, when I write the next book, he's going to be writing a forward in it. So that's how close Stevie and I are. So with that said, heck of a show tonight. I love being all over the planet. And I like Mike. He keep pushing me with all that soccer. So come on, we got to get to Trinity Rounder. We got to get to this one. I'll wait for this. I hear you guys, and I'll be working on some guests as well. So on behalf of Candy, on behalf of Mike, and on behalf of Cody, my name is Scott Morgan, Route to Motor City Man. I'll thank you for joining us on this edition of Sports Wrap. We will catch you next Thursday night at 8:00 p.m. Eastern Time. Looking forward to the new improved edition of Sports Wrap. You got your crew. Guests will be along the way. And glad everybody is along for the ride. Take care, everybody. And coming up, fire up the Country Club, Candy Appling, and the crew. Good night, everybody. And thank you very much for joining us.